There's a new age joy, isn't there, in the idea of a cyclical universe, a cyclical history. And if history teaches us anything about Nigel Farage's political ventures, it's that they come with their own expiry date, which is roughly about 4 years. UKIP imploded. Brexit Party, brief, albeit moderately effective, then rebranded. Reform UK, well, wouldn't you know it, we've just hit the 4 year watermark and everything is fracturing. What do we find? The internal machinations of the party resemble a slow motion car crash, except no one can agree who's behind the wheel. At the heart of the latest debacle is Rupert Lowe, Rob Lowe, an outspoken MP who, until last week, was one of Reform's most recognisable figures, though not, I can never remember which one is the pretty one, Rob or Rupert. And his suspension suddenly, apparently due to allegations of workplace bullying and verbal threats, has triggered outrage in the grassroots. And the lawyer hired by Reform to investigate has distanced themselves from the party's claims, and members have walked out of local meetings in protest, and now even Farage has been drawn into the maelstrom directly. The supposed messiah of the moment, as Lowe dubbed him, has remained remarkably silent while his party disintegrates in real time. But I'm drawing on points here from Maya Tusi, who is so much better placed to comment on this story than I am. And Farage's political career, I'm going to draw the conclusions that Maya doesn't dare to draw, because, of course, I am a liberal academic, in his words, and he is a little closer to the MAGA right. But put bluntly, we tend to see things fairly similarly, and I think he must be as worried by this transformation as I am overjoyed. But Farage's political career is defined by exits. UKIP gone, the Brexit Party gone, folded into Reform UK. And Reform, well, it looks as if it's on the way out, doesn't it? It may be coming apart at the seams. And the reality is that Farage, for all his strengths as a campaigner, doesn't build sustainable political structures. He thrives in opposition, not in real government or real governance or real power. He thrives in being the spanner in the works. And the moment a party demands discipline, cohesion, and long-term planning, it becomes too cumbersome for his style of leadership. You can see this repeating itself in Reform UK. The party's enjoyed significant polling successes, surpassing the Conservatives, yet when it comes to the actual elections, they didn't do as well as they could have done. And now it comes to the point where they're actually in the Palace of Westminster, and they're falling to pieces. And its most recognisable figure, Lowe, and also Ben Habib, they've fallen victim to internal strife, a hallmark of every Farage-led endeavour. And Rupert Lowe's suspension was framed as a disciplinary measure, but in reality it exposes deep fault lines within the party. And the chairman, Mohammed Zia Youssef, has taken centre stage in the conflict. He apparently has also been the victim of a Loki attack, claiming threats were made against him. But meanwhile, Loki remains with his maintains his political status, particularly on mass deportations, made him a target within Reform's upper echelons. The crux of the problem: Reform UK publicly declared an investigation into Loki's conduct, yet the very lawyer appointed to handle it has stated that no such legal process has even begun. And this suggests an attempt to preemptively discredit Loki rather than fairly assess any claims against him. In short, Reform UK has played a rather weak hand, rather badly. And this approach has alienated party members, many of whom support Lowe's hardline stance. And footage from Norfolk shows local activists walking out of meetings in protest, and the reaction on social media has been scathing. If Farage and the reaction from the people who want to fund the party. If Farage and his allies hoped that this would be a swift and quiet disposal, they badly miscalculated. For once, Farage has appeared indecisive and wrong-footed. He has to address this crisis directly, likely weighing up whether Lowe is more useful inside the party or as a scapegoat. He ought to take up the offer of dinner. But in his absence, the party has taken a major credibility hit. And of course, that absence is calculated. Farage's silence speaks volumes, because Farage wants to distance himself from any crisis. A crisis must be Lowe or Habib or Yusuf. The crisis must not hit Farage. That's the overall plan, I suspect. And if Reform cannot keep its small number of MPs in line, how does it hope to challenge Labour or the Conservatives? Lowe has thrown down the gauntlet, publicly inviting Farage to dinner in the hopes of resolving the feud, and Farage's response will determine the party's future. If he ignores the invitation, he risks appearing weak. If he backs Lowe, he undermines his own chairman. If he doubles down, he risks alienating members. There's no easy way out for this one. But as we know, Farage is not shallow. And the entire episode demonstrates why Farage's parties never last. His personal brand of populist politics thrives on momentum, media attention, and confrontation. But it's precisely that refusal to engage in structure, discipline, and long-term strategy that makes his parties self-destruct. Reform UK had a golden opportunity to capitalise on Conservative disarray, but instead it's stuck in the same cycle of infighting and factionalism that I saw, by the way, long ago in UKIP. One might say that Reform is now playing a familiar tune, a tune that we've heard before in UKIP and in the Brexit Party. The problem is, after so many years, the audience is beginning to lose interest, and the audience knows what is the common denominator in all of these instances. It's Farage.